Hello? Alrighty, we are live. So we'll get this started in one hot second, I promise.
What exactly is a hot second?
It's a little bit warmer than 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. So we'll just go ahead and share.
Alrighty. Volume on my phone. Alrighty. Let's give a... Oh, Kayla. Hi, Kayla. How are you, darling?
La, 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 la.
Kayla, darling. Always nice to see you. Thanks for joining. All right, let's get rolling. All right, so,
What?
Judy, almost forgot to launch Audacity.
Oh, dang, yeah, I almost did that too.
That would have been a fun one. All right, so three. Tell me when you're ready.
Oh, wait.
Kayla, things are a little crazy over here, but we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. As always, I am your host, Uncle Danny. Alongside of me tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chris. Chris, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I am the original Mr. Chris. Let's just make sure we understand that right now. Accept no substitute. All right. I'm just in a good mood tonight. So, hey, I'm glad everybody is able to join us tonight. For those of you joining us live, I'm glad you're able to join us live. Make sure you share that podcast with your friends because you want everybody to be here. We've got a really cool lineup. Tonight, we got some cool things we want to talk about, some things that just happened over the last couple of days, and we want you to be a part of this. So be a part of the conversation. Feel free to comment. Hey, if we like your comment, you may actually see it on the video. Don't forget, not only can you go ahead and see this video here on Facebook Live, and you can go ahead and share it with all your friends, this video will also be brought over to our YouTube channel, Behind the Ears Podcast, over there at the same time that our podcast is released. And I believe that will be Wednesday. So, Danny, you want me to go ahead and just get us rolling on this?
You take the real kid.
Okay, he fishes one in. Here it comes. So, anyway, first thing I saw this morning was that last night was the first cast member preview for the new Rivers of Light show over at Animal Kingdom. Now, for those of you who may not know, this was the same Rivers of Light show that originally was supposed to actually start up this past summer. But due to some technical difficulties in a boat that sank to the ground, or sank to the bottom of the water, they had some problems. And so what ended up happening is that they quickly put together the show for the Jungle Book, which I got a chance to see this past summer, and I thought it was really cool. It was pretty well done for a show that only had 30 days of pre-production, pre-production work done to it. The music was fabulous. The dancers were great. It was definitely a fill-in type program, but I enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of people that didn't enjoy it. I'll admit, and I understand that, and I'm not here to start a debate. But I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the music, and the costuming was fabulous. It was very colorful. Really enjoyed it. Okay. So last night, they finally got to show cast members, and there was also a whole bunch of bloggers out there too. Supposedly they weren't allowed to take pictures or video of the show, but a lot of them did talk about it. And to kind of my surprise, there was a lot of mixed reviews of the show, Danny. I mean, you would think that people would just love the show, and now I saw some Facebook Live video of some people that were there, and they were just really hooping it up. They thought it was awesome, it was great, yeah, and so on. And that was, they loved the music, the lighting, the water fountains. It was very dynamic. It was, it was a good sight, good visuals and so on. And even though they had a little glitch about 7 minutes into the show, they actually restarted it, did it again. And so some of those people thought it was really good. However, more than one report did I see them say that it wasn't super exciting. That the music was really good. The lighting was visually appealing, but they said it was, their words, not mine, boring.
Yeah, I've heard that on several different spots.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know there are several people that, said that the Jungle Book was boring. And the interesting part is that for those of you who listened to our previous podcast about me and my stance on movie reviews, there's a lot of chances that if someone says that something's boring, there's a good chance I'm going to think it's great. I don't know why. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not even going to come close to making any kind of a decision or anything until I see it myself. Now, keep in mind, they haven't actually come up with a date of when it'll actually be released to all the guests themselves. I think they're probably still working out some of the issues. From the pictures I saw, though, it looked like it would be just a gorgeous setting. So I don't know where the boring part came. I think it was like the longest lasting show. It was the longest show of all the different nighttime spectaculars that Disney actually has currently in production. At the same time, I even saw one person say, would it have been, really considered to be a nighttime spectacular if people thought it was boring? I think what people have to understand is that, this was a first run at it to a bunch of people, and, you got to give something a shot. This is their first dress rehearsal, so to speak. I don't know. I mean, what can I say? I just think that when it comes to that, I would have loved to have been there, and I probably would have been excited to have been there. But I don't think I would have ever called something, visually stunning with great music boring. I think it kind of depends on what your expectations are. I mean, Danny, I don't know about this. A question for you, but do you think Disney's kind of raised the bar so high on some other things that, it's causing the guest expectation to kind of go through the roof?
I think you run that risk with whatever business you're in. And, Disney always tries to go above and beyond, which is awesome. I mean, me as a consumer, you guys as consumers of a certain product, you always want to see things go up and up. And I don't want to say that it was a flop because I think it's still too new to make that assumption. But I will say this, from everywhere that I've read, it started off with a slow. The point I'm getting at is I think they built up the anticipation so much of the new River Lights, and I think that was a big problem. I think when they keep hounding you about this new attraction coming, oh, look what's coming, and then it comes out and it's kind of like, well, you told me it was going to be great, and it's not bad, but it's not great. So that's an issue I think they're running into right now, is just that it didn't reach the level of expectation of the fan base.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, give it time. Before I really go crazy and kill it, I'm going to give it a little bit of time. But you said about the boat sinking, correct?
It's my understanding. Now, I don't have anything to confirm or deny this at the same time, but the very first time they did this back in the spring, they had something happen and one of the rafts kind of failed.
Do you remember back in the mid to late 80s, they had it's not Jiminy Cricket. Why did I say Jiminy Cricket? It was the canoe ride in Magic Kingdom. Tom Sawyer's, the canoe.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know, we actually did a big show on this a while back, but the reason that ride is no longer there is because that ride was a copycat of Disneyland's. Well, Disneyland, one of their boats started taking on water mid-ride, and they couldn't stop it. So they were able to get the boat to land. Nobody was injured. People went to the hospital, but nobody was majorly injured. There was no lawsuits or anything like that. But they actually discontinued that ride, and there was a press release that's saying that they wanted to go away from boat rides for that exact reason, because it became a liability issue. And if you notice, as the years went on, boat rides came and went. We do have a few. We still have like the log flume, things of that nature. But 20,000 leagues under the sea is gone. Both the canoes are gone. Disney really tried to get away from the whole boat aspect, and I was pretty surprised about that. So to hear that a boat sank already, well, obviously in pre-trials of everything, doesn't shock me. Disney needs to get their things together with their boats. Call Viking Yacht. Tell them to design something for you.
So, I mean, now granted, that's what I understood. That's what someone mentioned in one of their articles. So by all means, if I'm incorrect, I'm the kind of person that'll be more than happy to, report on something good, or at least correct myself. Because I'm not above above being corrected. That's for darn tootin' sure. But the thing is that what I think though is one of the bigger problems is I think that stadium has a problem. And this comes from as an audience member, I have a bigger problem with how that stadium actually sits, because think of it, you're kind of in an L format, and you need to be sitting somewhere near that corner in order to get the best view out of everything. If you're sitting, the further you sit out, the less of a chance you have to see everything. Even though the Jungle Book did a pretty good job of trying to put stages in front of you, the fact of the matter is you're not going to see everything. It's not like Phantasmic, where no matter where you sit, you're going to see 95% of everything you need to see. It's not like Illuminations, where you're going to probably, no matter where you stand against the lagoon, you're probably going to see 95% of everything you need to see. Wishes, of course, you could see Wishes from so many different parts of the Magic Kingdom. It kind of depends on what you want to see. You could actually change how Wishes is depending on where you stand. It's actually really pretty cool. But that stadium, I think, has an inherent flaw in how it's laid out, which doesn't necessarily fix the idea of something not being exciting. But I also think that it hinders it from a stage present type of scenario. Now, again, I wasn't there. I guarantee you that next time I go, if it's showing, I will be there, and I would love to see it in person. And I will actually look at it with a very open mind, just because I would really like to, I'd really like to see it. And I make up my own decisions based on my own things. I know that I have respect for fellow bloggers and, fellow media journalists, in sense of their opinion. I really do. So I'm not knocking anybody, and their opinion. They were there. I wasn't, but I would certainly give it a try. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go back to something, since it is the holiday season. Me and Chris, we touched on this real quick, but I started doing some research. And for most of you that listen on a regular basis, you're going to know that I know nothing about Star Wars. I happen to know who BB-8 was because of D23, but did you see the Sphero? S-P-H-E-R-O?
Did you pronounce that right?
Did you see what they came out with?
Basically a BB-8 that was made by Sphero that is controlled by your smartphone.
Yes, this right now it's listed through the Sphero app, or you can get it through Disney. Originally is $149.99. It is on sale for $99.99. This thing, I don't like Star Wars, know nothing about it. I would get it just to play with this. This thing looks awesome. Basically, it's like a ball-shaped bottom, and then it's got his head that's on it, but I don't get how it moves, because you would have to assume that the head is connected inside to the body. And it's not, though. So does
No,
it
it's not.
float? What does it rotate on top then?
No, well, do we want to give away the magic?
I mean,
There's a magnet inside.
okay. I knew there
It's
had to be
actually,
something.
yes, it does. It does actually separate. I will tell you this: I have seen other Sphero products in action. In fact, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago actually had like a robotics week type of thing, and my son loves that kind of thing. So we actually went there and saw Sphero in action. This was before BB-8, and they were demonstrating the fact that you can control this cool little sphere, and it goes all over the place, and it would zoom really fast around this little pen that it had it in, and you just did it with a smartphone. They actually were using iPads, a little bit easier to control, type of thing. So the BB-8 action, I'm sure, is going to be very, very similar. Sphero makes some really good stuff. It's like USB rechargeable, and I think it kind of sits on a little base, so to speak. But yeah, I would so do that if for some reason, if I had an extra $100 to spend on Christmas.
Well, I mean, it's got authentic movement. You can guide it anywhere you want to go. It listens and responds. It recognizes to your voice. It's there's so much here. Basically, what's in the box is you get the BB-8 app enabled droid. You get the introduction charging base, micro USB cord, quick start guide, and of course, they want to tell you they put their legal guide in there. This is what I thought was really cool. Not only is it phone compatible with any iOS system, Android, and Windows, top speed, 4.5 miles per hour. Now, granted, 4 miles an hour is not fast. 4 miles an hour with a ball running through your house is fast.
I could definitely get that. I mean, that's like, that's wogging speed, as I like to call it. It's like half walk, half jog. That's actually quite quick. I mean, I can only imagine, running into something at 4.5 miles an hour. I know it's not that tall, but that's fast. And as for, they call it a droid. I guess that really is the droid you're looking for.
Yeah, and I just don't want anybody to get this mixed up with if you watch D23 live. They had a large size BB-8 come out. It is not that size. This is 11.3 centimeters. So, it's not, I mean, the one on, did you see how large the one on D23 was?
It was actually pretty sizable. In fact, I think if it's the one that's just the regular remote controlled one, they had one at our local Disney store, and
Okay.
there was a cast member there that was playing with it, and yeah, he had it going around all around the store and stuff like that. It was actually pretty funny. So they actually they actually had those on sale at the Disney store. I don't know if they're still on sale, but they had those on sale at the Disney store. So that was cool too.
All right, why don't you give us the next little tidbit of news?
Sure. So we're talking about we're talking about different things in news and stuff like that. One of the other things that came up recently was some of the different changes. Now I know that there's a lot of guests out there that are kind of wondering about all the different changes that are going on within Walt Disney World. I mean, obviously we have a lot of changes going on with Hollywood Studios, to the point where some people are still questioning whether or not they should be going to Hollywood Studios as a part of their vacation. Obviously Animal Kingdom is going through some massive changes with Pandora, even though it's not disrupting the rest of the park. But something that I think you and I have even touched on, and I think other people are also starting to touch on, is just the idea that Epcot needs a refresh. And so part of what was mentioned at the Destination D conference, kind of coming from Bob Chapek, who is the Walt Disney Parks and Resorts chair, he basically said, and this is me doing a somewhat paraphrase, Epcot is rumored now to basically have major changes coming up, and will be but yet those changes will remain true to the original vision. Which I think there's a lot of people that really want that to happen. it was one of those things where it's like they're saying to themselves, I want Epcot to be what Epcot is supposed to be. I think there are people that are really nervous about the changes of Epcot. They want change to Epcot, but they don't want Epcot to change, if you kind of catch my drift with that. There was also, talk about, what kind of changes would they make to Spaceship Earth? Keep in mind, the newest refresh of Spaceship Earth is only, I want to say it's only like 5 or 6 years old now. Test Track just, it's very much recently refreshed, only a few years old. Mission Space is kind of due for some kind of a change, if you ask me. Ellen's Energy Adventure, we all know, is going to be, going away.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I don't know how that's going to turn out, but hey, you know what? I've also learned to never say never. I was like, oh, I'm not going to appreciate that. Well, you know what? I'm going to enjoy it when it's there. I'm going to give it a try to see what it's like. We've talked about these things, and we've talked about how some of the, some of the different things around World Showcase Lagoon needs to be changed, whether it be adding different countries, maybe adding different kinds of restaurants, adding different kinds of features, but to really have a good understanding of what Epcot was really supposed to be. So, but with the idea that it'll, remain true to the original vision. I like that. I like that idea. I like that thought process. And, the Imagineers are going back, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Epcot. And I think it's time, but man, I really hope that it's going to be one of those things. I have learned, if there's one thing Disney does well, is tell a story. And in everything they do, rarely do they have something that has to go back to the drawing board after it's been presented to the guests. And I think it's also great that Disney does do some checks and balances with themselves, and they do fix things that don't necessarily fit in or whatever. But that's a rare thing that Disney messes that up. But no, I look forward to actually seeing what may actually come of that.
I don't trust them. Is that bad? Like, I don't know.
Depends on why. Depends on why you say that.
I'm at the point where I just don't trust Disney to do things. It's not a bad thing. Like, I love Disney. Don't get me wrong. Disney has knocked things out of the park in recent history too. But they have made Epcot such a debacle, and along with MGM, they made it such a debacle. Like, I don't know. I'm just afraid because, like, Epcot now is not what Epcot was supposed to be, and I'm fine with that. I get it. Things change. But the problem is, it's just, it became all about food, which is, hey, we're both bigger guys. Everybody who in here that knows us well enough knows that, we like to eat. So for it to revolve around food, I'm 100% cool with that. But move away from the technology aspect then. How many buildings do we have sitting empty in Epcot right now?
Yeah, a good point. But at the same time, though, I think it's I don't want to say it's not fair. That's not really want to say. To compare anything with what's going on at Hollywood Studios now is actually really tough because, it's kind of like Hollywood Studios has needed a little bit of a facelift. But the thing is that they've really managed to give the park itself kind of a bad rep just because so many people are like, is it really now only a half-day park? Do I even bother going? And especially, like, if you think about it, the recent ticket offer that they have where you can get, 4 parks for, $280, but you have to enter 1 park each day and you can't repeat parks. If you really want to get the most out of those tickets, you're going to go to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Even though it may be, a half-day park. But like anything else, I mean, I know you haven't seen Star Wars, and I'm not gonna rib you on that. But the fact is that I know that's going to be a huge, huge, huge draw to that park. Same thing with, Toy Story Land. That's going to be a huge, huge, huge draw to the park. And what they really can't do is screw up the rest of the park. They can't deal with, changing, Tower of Terror. I mean, we already saw what kind of backlash that, was getting.
And that wasn't even the best Tower of Terror on Disney company.
True. And then at the same time, when they heard that Rock and Roller Coaster was going down for a, small amount of time for refurb. Yeah, reverb. Yeah, I guess that's fitting for Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
But, all of a sudden people are like, oh my gosh, Aerosmith's going away. It's going to be replaced by Justin Bieber.
Mm-hmm.
Ah!
And people were serious. People really were ready to jump off the ledge.
People were drop dead serious. I mean, it's like, oh, who is it going to be replaced by? And they took it because, they started paring down the merch that was available in the store after the fact. And, they probably didn't realize, hey, listen, the store's everything's going through a rehab. They're just not putting new stuff out. I mean, that's kind of how Disney does things in general.
But it was bad timing on Disney, though.
In which way?
In the fact that they just had that big hash out with Aerosmith itself. About the hand signal.
About the hands, gesture. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then a month or 2 months later, it goes down. It's kind of like, whoa, I think we took this a little too far.
Yeah, and people who don't really realize the idea of, they plan those refurbs, months, if not a year or so in advance, and they don't realize that there's a very good chance, and at least my opinion, your mileage may vary, taxes not included, void where prohibited by law, but, there's a very good chance that those two are not, related, referring to the change in the pre-show video versus, the merch leaving versus Aerosmith going down. Let's face it, an attraction that powerful, referring to like the launch system and the fact that it's, goes inverted several times. Hey, I'm glad they do refurbs on a ride like that. I mean, it could be one of those things that'd be a bad day if something goes wrong. But at the same time, there were so many rumors going around about that. It was hard to control. It was just, I mean, I stopped responding to people on Facebook about it because it was like the chatter generated by the rumors was much more, much louder than truth or logic and reason or common sense. So that was just something that kind of got me a little bit, which, let's face it, it's hard to control that sort of thing.
But why take down Osborne Festival of Lights? Like,
well,
if you really don't want to make it a half-day park, why would you start gutting things that you didn't need to gut?
Oh, I know, but I think that it's because they're using that space back there. But guess what? I'm going to have to find it. Someone bought the Osborne Lights.
Wow.
Someone bought it, and they're actually putting it up. Golly, I'm gonna have to look at it. I saw it on an article, and I should have made note of it, and I apologize to our guests. But the fact is that someone bought it, they put it up in a town, and you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the Osborne Lights. I mean, seriously. That's awesome. Seriously, dude. So I'll have to do a little follow-up story. I'll have to blog about it in both the blog here as well as over at commonsensedisney.com. And we'll have maybe we can get one of our listeners if they're over that way. Hey, let's get some pictures because that was pretty epic. So, but here's the funny part about the Osborne Lights though. Every year they had, I'm sure they had to take down. They took down those lights every year. They probably had to rebuild it every year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's more like certain components could be reused year after year, but the vast majority of the blanketing of lights probably most likely had to be, redone year after year. And of course, the reprogramming of the light controls, et cetera, had to be done year after year. So I think like the Osborne lights were kind of more of a concept rather than a packaged, a packaged deal, so to speak. So
then I pose this question to you. do people miss it because it's not there anymore? Or do people miss it because it's changed? Like, I can't tell you how many times I read that people did not like, they wanted the electrical parade gone. Oh my God, it's boring. It's the same show year after year, time after time. And then all of a sudden they say they're taking it away, and you would think the devil's knocking on your door. Like, everybody was running for the hills. Like, guys, you can't kill it one day and then be sad that it's gone. Like, it doesn't go that way.
You know, I don't think guests like change. I mean, I know that sounds simplistic, because I think we all want to see the new and cool stuff, right? But we don't want to see things leave that we grew up with and we love, and we're like, yes, we'll see it every year. We'll be like, you know, we'll see it every year, and you get used to it and you really like to it. And Anna, I like how you put there, you know, people don't know what they want. Respectfully speaking, I think you're right. I think in some cases you have these things where people, it's either that they don't want change or they don't know what it's going to be replaced with. Now, you know, between that and like when, there's a few years ago, there was talk about illuminations being changed, and I was one of those people like, no, I don't want it to, I don't want it to change because I love it. But you know, Joe, I think you've got it right too. No one likes change, but everybody wants change. And you know, I want to see Disney grow. I want to see Disney evolve. You know, Walt basically said, you know, that when he was referring to Disneyland, you know, it'll never be completed. And that spirit is within Walt Disney World itself, as well as all the other Disneyland parks. So the fact of the matter is it's kind of like, you know, we want to see things change, but we also don't want to see things. Maybe it's better to say we want things added, but we don't want other things to go away. And I think that while there's a lot of space, there's still a finite amount of space of what you can do. To see the different changes, I mean, lights, motor, action, I think kind of, you know, that part. I mean, I liked the show because I'm a gearhead and I thought it was cool. I like stunts, I like fire, I like cars, and you know, all that stuff. That's like kind of cool. But you know, we kind of knew it was going to be a temporary thing because that had to be an expensive show to run. Like gargantually expensive. You know, the Streets of America part, I mean, it was kind of cool, but there was nothing there other than a few merchandise things. And every once in a while you'd see Mulch, Sweat, and Shears play, which was always a real cool treat. But it was mainly the venue for the Osborne Lights. Let's face it, there were people that would flock there every year specifically for the Osborne Lights. And, you know, they made it a point that when they would go there. And I think that, you know, it being gone made them sad. And I totally understand it. I mean, I loved seeing it myself. But, yeah, I think all the different changes that we see, you know, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. I mean, I'll admit, you know, and my kid, I've already learned, don't necessarily share a lot of my vacation planning plans on the air here, because sooner or later my kids will find out. Well, you know, I've talked, and you know, we're seriously contemplating going to Disneyland this summer or something like that if I was able to swing it, just because there's a lot of change going on, and they're saying that all these different things like Pandora's going to open in 2017, summer of 2017. Summer 2017 extends, what, 3, maybe 4 months in some cases?
Yeah.
Chances are it'll open 3 days after I leave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's, yeah. And it rains and pours, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, you know, I want that change. You know, I can't wait to see it. I am of the camp of, I know I have a trust that Disney will do the right things when it comes to these things, because they want it to be a success. And, you know, I can't wait to see it to make my own decision. I mean, let's put it this way. There's other things I'm like, I've never seen, attractions that I've never seen. I never saw anything in regards to American Idol. I wasn't interested, but yet there were lines and lines and lines and lines for it. I said, great, let there be lines and lines and lines for it. Because that means there's lines over there. There's not going to be any lines over at Toy Story. So, it's just one of those things. So
now, regards to change, and we were talking strictly on if people are, people bug out about change and everything like that.
Sure.
Ellen's Energy. Now, we all know it's a dying ride. It's been talked about numerous times being taken down, being replaced, refurbed. There's been with our luck, Disney will just make it an empty building. My question is, there's never wait for that ride. If you wait more than 10 minutes, you've waited 9 minutes too long. When that goes away, are people going to be up in arms?
I think up in arms? No. Have people already, expressed their aw shucks type of comments? Yes, they have. 'Cause what a lot of them say is, hey, where am I going to get out of the heat for 45 minutes? That type of thing. And I hate to say it, but, I kind of felt the same way. I enjoyed the attraction, but I will say I've fallen asleep inside the attraction more than one time. And I'm also probably the person that the rest of the guests heard snoring in the back or something like that because of it. I'll admit it. It's my fault. I owe you all a churro. But, the fact of the matter is that who knows? Let's put it this way. There are some other things that Disney got rid of, for other attractions that, people didn't really miss as much, like Food Rocks. Okay. Yeah. It got replaced because of Soarin', and that's okay. It was cute. It was infotainment, right? Or edutainment, excuse me. That's the term, educational entertainment. The makings of me, Body Wars, and other things over at the Wonders of Life Pavilion. I gotta be honest. I do too. Well, okay, I'll say this. I do too. I wish I had a chance to see it more than the one time I did. Because the one time I did, I walked off that ride feeling green. Not because of the ride itself, but because it portrayed blood. So I went with my daughter and we had it was fun, but afterwards I'm like, I don't know if I want to see it. I'd love to see it again, but, it was one of those things. But, I guess I could say Epcot really needs a good solid change. I look forward to that solid change. What I'm concerned about is that Epcot will accidentally turn into another Hollywood Studios where for 2 to 3 years, you're going to have massive refurbs and then you're not going to have very much there to enjoy. And Epcot will become a half-day park. Because to me right now, Epcot is at least 2 days to really enjoy a lot of it.
Okay.
Okay, well, think of it this way. Are you thinking that way because you can get through Epcot in a whole day or less than a whole day?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm looking at it from my perspective. Like, I know where I need to hit and what I want to do.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, like, when because my kids love Epcot, and so it takes a little longer to get through, the different attractions and the shops and the snacks places and things like that. So it's a little different, but that's a great example. You can whip through World Showcase, very quickly as someone is probably with yourself and some, we try it again because that didn't really come out well with yourself as well as probably somebody else or one other person. But when you've got 3 other people in tow, you do go slower around, World Showcase.
Oh yeah. And especially if it's your first time there, there is a lot to take in,
Oh yeah.
I can walk by the finer details because I've got thousands of pictures of it. I've been there countless amount of times. I don't think I've broken 100 yet, but I think I'm probably getting pretty close. But yeah, do I need to watch a China film?
No. Probably not.
I think I've seen it enough times. I am interested in Norway. As much as I haven't seen Frozen, still have never seen the movie. I might never. I probably will though. I I like new rides. Here's my thing though, not to go crazy, but we were talking about the River of Lights earlier and how, did it live up to the expectations of what everybody wanted? That's the same thing I feel about Pandora. I am so afraid that Pandora is going to be a bust. And from the artwork that I've seen, a few years back when they put it out to current day construction pictures that we have, circulated through the internet recently,
Right.
it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. But is it going to be one of these parks where it's more visual than actual entertainment? I mean, it's taken them how many years to put this out? And that's why I get really nervous when people are like, oh, Star Wars 2021. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. It's not going to be 2021. If it comes out in 2021, I would be shocked. I honestly, I love Disney. I don't see that timetable being accurate. I think the more realistic thing is 2019 for Toy Story, because I think they're really going to try to vamp that up for the anniversary. But I mean, what did they say? 2021, because well, isn't 2022 isn't that the 50-year anniversary? When is it?
50.
When's Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary?
It would be 2021.
Is it 2021? I thought, okay, because I thought the 25th anniversary was 1992. Anyway.
Well, so we just had 45 now. 45 in 2016.
Okay, so 2021. So I guess I'm assuming that Disney would be well educated enough to know we should probably get this Star Wars line. I mean, because 50th anniversary, that park is going to boom. It is going to boom for that 50th anniversary because there's so many deals for that year. Now, if you add Toy Story on top, Star Wars, excuse me, that park will blow up. It will be out of control. Now, here's the one thing I just want to say real quick. Do not decorate the castle as a cake.
No, I think they learned that mistake once.
It was so bad.
I mean, when I saw pictures, I'm like, is that just a really bad Photoshop job? And they're like, no, it actually happened. I'm like,
you didn't see it in person.
No, I didn't. You did, I take it.
I did, and it was hideous. Excuse me, it looks so, I'm getting choked up. Disney does a lot of things really well, and I don't want anybody to think that all I'm doing here is bashing on them. Disney does a lot of things fantastic. That castle, I hope whoever designed that is in a new line of work. Maybe selling shoes or something, because that just, you can't. That castle's so bad. Oh, man.
I will say, let's.
Before I get in any more trouble, let's divert here. All right, so let me give you a little something that got released about a few days ago. Sure. Disney announces a new restaurant and pool enhancements for Disney's Wilderness Lodge.
Okay.
Now, the Disney Vacation Club accommodations were formerly known as the Villas at Disney Wilderness. Well, they've assumed a new name. They're now going to be called Boulder Ridge Villas at Disney Wilderness Lodge. I think that's kind of cool. I think it goes with the theme. I like the name change.
And they've already pretty much incorporated that name change into DVC in of itself. So I mean, it's done. I mean, that name change is for real. And I think it's kind of cool. I think it adds a little bit of flair. It's just like, you have the contemporary, but then you also have Bay Lake Tower. So
yeah, and I mean they've announced that the changes have been made actually inside the actual resort. The resort and cabins outside of the main lodge have been renamed. A sweeping reimagination of the former Hidden Springs pool is underway currently, and it's another thing that we're looking at for the summer of 2017 reopening for that. Once again, when they say summer, you're looking at a 4-month period, so you just got to keep checking back in. Disney's pretty good with when we get closer. I would assume by April, May, you'll have a better understanding of when exactly that's going to be ready to open. It's going to be called Boulder Ridge Cove. It will feature an expanded sun deck and zero depth entry pool. It happens to be over by the abandoned rock quarry. If anybody's ever stayed there, I've never stayed there, so I'm trying to I've walked through there, so I'm trying to imagine exactly where it is. Um, I've noticed that a lot of the resorts, when they're doing these pools, they are going with the zero depth entry. I think
Yeah.
it, eliminates stairs. Like we talked about yesterday, keep everything on a flat surface.
I think, I think it's really actually, really cool on how they're doing that because, a lot of the other pools are doing the whole zero entry thing. And quite honestly, I think it's actually kind of nice. It just makes it easier for kids. It makes it easier for adults. Stairs, let's be honest with you. Stairs are fine, but you do have a hazard of slipping, especially if you're kind of goofing around a little bit, or not paying attention, which I'm not saying that's a negative, but we've all done that while we're on vacation, not paying attention, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool. So.
Yeah, they're also adding a Boulder Ridge Railway and Mining Company water tower, basically over by the pool area, as a landmark for reminders of, the pioneering past of, the whole decor of the hotel. They will also be adding a vintage mine cart that supports the mining theme, which basically gives a little nod to Disney history, which I thought was really cool. Beyond the new pool space, there's scheduled enhancements to the resort. They claim it's called Chugging Along. I thought that was a good play on words. Well done, whoever wrote the article. Includes
that was pretty punny.
Yeah. It will include a new bar, a grill, in addition to a quick service restaurant, Geyser's Point Bar and Grill. It will be located in the heart of the new future pool area of Disney Wilderness Lodge, where guests can grab a bite to eat as they lounge by the resort's main pool. The rendering for this area highlights a lot of ample outdoor seating as the concept art that I've seen. The architecture is absolutely beautiful. That look right at home with, the existing lodge as well as the Boulder Ridge Villas, as they claim they're being called now. I enjoy all the things they're doing with DVCs. I think they're really, not only are they adding more DVCs, giving people more of an opportunity to be a part of DVC, but they're also enhancing the actual resort, even if you were not a DVC member. I mean, everything that I just said basically came about because of DVC. But you don't have to be in DVC to enjoy these amenities. The only thing I will say is they keep adding all these DVCs. I wouldn't mind maybe getting a new hotel. And I think by 2021, we will hear, we're talking 5 years away, I think we're going to hear a little rumblings that they're going to be getting ready to break ground on a new hotel. Where? I don't know. I have no idea where they would be putting it. There's a couple really, really cool opportunities. We had a guest on during our Abandoned series. He's touched on a few of the different lots we've had that Disney has owned for many, many years now. I'll be interested to see if they actually do break ground. Or at least, I'm hoping to at least see an announcement, though. But it looks like a lot of really cool things coming over to the Wilderness Lodge.
It was kind of funny that you even mentioned that because just the other day, the DizDads.com podcast, actually we talked about, what if I can run a DVC, and we talked about where would we be able to put another DVC resort, or even in that case just another resort, and there is some space down over by Wilderness Lodge, south of Wilderness Lodge, kind of like around where the old abandoned runway is. And there's definitely some places where they can put another resort. Now, whether or not it be a moderate or another deluxe or another value. Personally, I think they should. I think they should put in another resort. I think they should make another resort that's in the moderate level that actually has very similar to the suites that they have over at Art of Animation. Now, let me mention this. I know we're kind of going way off on a tangent here, but let me go ahead and mention this. And I've given this some thought too. So the reason why I say that is because, let's face it, the suites over at Art of Animation are priced in the moderate range. They are not priced as a value. Let's just tell you right there. There's usually no discounts or anything else like that. Usually when free dining comes out, they are excluded, the whole shoot and shebang. So why don't we go ahead and just call it what it is? They can be easily pivoted into a moderate type of resort that has a wing of suites that could accommodate larger families, that could sleep 6 without having a lot of issues. Maybe having larger bathrooms or a double bath of some sort, a small kitchenette, something that could accommodate larger families without breaking the bank. Yeah, I would still think that it would be more than a normal moderate, but it's not. But maybe on the same lines of what you would pay a little bit more. You would probably pay a little bit more than what you would if you had to get 2 value rooms instead of a suite. So I think they need something of that sort. I think having a moderate there would fit. Granted, I like the value resorts for what they are, but I will admit, I don't get a chance to really enjoy the moderate resorts as much as I would like to, because I'm usually there at the very beginning or the very end of my stay, and usually for 1, maybe 2 nights at the most. Same thing for most of the moderates, because I'm a DVC member, so we spend most of our time at DVC resorts. But I do like to stay at other resorts and try them all out. So that's kind of my take. Bring another moderate into that mix. Give some love to the larger families, or families that need extra room, or someone that brings a grandma or another in-law with them, or whatever.
Yeah, so, I think we have enough values. I think the value resorts, especially just getting Art of Animation just recently, I think we're okay with going value there. Deluxe, I love Deluxe, but I can't always stay at Deluxe. Sometimes it's just not feasible, money-wise. Moderate is usually my sweet spot. If anybody doesn't know, Port Orleans, Riverside, my absolute favorite. I highly, highly recommend it. We are not travel agents, but if you ask me where to stay, I'm telling you Riverside. And if Riverside is booked, go to Port Orleans. I love that whole setup for both of them. With that being said, we'll see. That's all I'm gonna say is let's see. Let's see what they do, and we'll move on from there. You have other news or no?
I do, and I'm gonna kind of get going here. I know we kind of went on a little bit of a tangent here. Hey, sometimes this just goes to show our show is unscripted. And, while we have some show notes and stuff like that, we don't always follow them very, very well. So, but that's okay. That gives you, our guests, a real unique experience. But we're talking about Epcot. We were talking about resorts. Now let's talk about food. Hey, listen, you don't get a physique like this by being a picky eater. That's all I'm going to say. I could say this is powered by Mickey and Premium ice cream bars, but not totally true.
We know what it's really powered by. That's Casey's Corn Dog Nuggets.
Did someone say Casey's Corn Dog Nuggets? That's right. Casey's Corn Dog Nuggets. This episode brought to you by Casey's Corn Dog Nuggets. Pick some up today. Okay. So I just read this today. They're actually going to have a snack bar in the Epcot parking lot. Now, I want to laugh a little bit at this, because someone made the comment is like, when you're really dying of thirst after walking from your car, and you definitely need that, that bottle of soda or that bottle of water, you can get a snack in the parking lot.
That tram ride, it can be pretty exhausting.
So I'm laughing at it because it's like, I can't picture it. And I thought it was a joke for a minute, but no, they had a picture of someone actually, a couple of cast members and a snack cart in the Epcot parking lot. Now, oh my gosh, I can't keep a straight face with this one, man. I'm sorry, Danny. But, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be a demand for something of that sort.
I need to see the stats. Who polled people here? What people were? Who got asked the question of what do you want to eat in Epcot's parking lot?
I mean, okay. If you haven't been to Epcot, let me paint a picture in your mind for a minute. If you're thirsty, much like.
All right, I won't look at you.
Sorry. Much like, you could like walk 30 paces and hit some sort of trash can. Outside of the parks, near like the bathrooms, near the ticket booths and so on like that, you are usually within visual range of some sort of soda machine. So it's not because of that, because you can easily go and get a soda. And if I'm not mistaken, those soda machines also take credit cards.
Yeah, they do.
So for your convenience. And so you go ahead and maybe you need that last snack because things are crowded. You want to go get something before you hit the road or whatever. I mean, for me, I rarely take my car into the parks anyway. Every time I've done that, I've kind of tried to race my wife back to the resort. She'd taken the bus, I take my truck. Yeah, and while I've got an awesome truck and I can have a lead foot when I want to, she still beats me almost every time, or at least I'm within 5 minutes. But that's a whole different story. So she, so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, would I really want to have, is that something I would really take advantage of? I don't know, but it's a big parking lot with thousands and thousands and thousands of cars. So I'm sure there has to be a niche, but that's the one thing. But you told me about the other somewhat odd, but I will also say somewhat more logical place for pizza. And that is where again? You were telling me before the show.
Pop Century.
Pop Century. Yeah. Okay.
Pop Century is now going to be offering a little kiosk that sells pizza, and I am all on board for that one at the bus stop.
But here's the thing, dude. You're not supposed to bring food or drink onto the bus to begin with. So you can't say, I could tell you what's going to happen right now. You're going to get there. The Magic Kingdom bus is going to be gone. And you're like, crud. So the kids are hungry. Let's go ahead and get a pizza. So you get the pizza and all of a sudden, boom, you got your pizza. Here comes the Magic Kingdom bus. But you're not supposed to bring food and drink onto the bus, or at least not eat your food or drink your drink on the bus, because keep buses clean. So what do you do? I don't know.
Well, the reason I believe they're doing this, and this is not listed anywhere on Disney. This is strictly from staying at a value resort. The buses don't come as frequent.
True.
And you're also looking at now, I've heard other people tell me they've gone from Pop Century to Magic Kingdom in like under 17 minutes. I've never once had that. No exaggeration. Almost every time is about 25 minutes to a half-hour bus ride.
Is that because of just traffic on the streets?
Just traffic, all the different stops, people, just the whole 9 yards. Maybe it was just me. I just maybe had a rough time at it. So, if you just missed that bus, you should be able to, put down a slice of pizza and a soda real quick. To me, I think it's ingenious. I think it's a great idea, and I think they should do it more. I think maybe not the deluxe, because most of them are on the monorail, minus, Wilderness Lodge and things like that. Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, there's no really need for that there. But especially I would start putting it at all the value resorts, considering the fact that most of your value resorts are hosting families with children. Kids get hungry, Disney's going to make a buck off of you.
Yeah, I can see that. And, I think it's kind of interesting because what I see, and I don't know what time their hours of operation are, but I can't tell you how many times I'd come back from the resort, or excuse me, come back from the park, hit my resort, and say to myself, I want a pizza. It's 11:30 at night. I want a pizza.
Yeah.
I want something. And, I want to just take it back to my room, or I want to take it over by the pool or something to that extent, just so I can, enjoy some pizza. But a lot of times the, food court may not be open, or there's a line for the food court. I mean, what people don't realize is that I'm not the only one that's hungry once you leave, the park,
Oh, no.
I mean, granted, if I won't normally be hungry leaving Magic Kingdom, because I'm usually holding some Casey's corn dog nuggets as I'm walking out of the park. And that's a true story. So, but, the thing of it is that, I could see where that would actually makes more sense. It just makes more sense. I think sometimes the food courts need to be open a little bit later, because there's always that hungry crowd,
Yeah, I would have to safely assume that the bus stop pizza will be open. Probably if there's a bus there, it's going to be open. I would assume if the last bus, is leaving Magic. Now here, it's not arriving. Now, I don't know if they're going to do it when the last bus is arriving back or the last bus is leaving. That's the tricky one, which if they're smart, they would do it the last bus returning. If the last bus, say, returns, or even if you do it 11 o'clock, whatever, there's ways around everything. So we'll see. I don't know. It's still in beta phase, as they like to call it. So
Sure.
I actually have it. I posted on Facebook the other day, and I thought it was hilarious. Not many people thought it was as funny as I did, but I enjoyed it. I have a joke. Why is Peter Pan always flying? He never lands. This joke never gets old. I don't care what you say.
All I have to say is this. All of my friends who watch this, I have met my match when it comes to bad jokes, and he is Uncle Danny. So we'll just leave it at that.
With that being said,
I think we need to have an episode that's nothing but me and you doing Disney related jokes.
Oh God, we'll get like 3 people, and then we'll lose every person.
Yeah, I will tell you before, I want to give a shout out to Aaron. I like that. What you really need is engine block pizza. Order your pizza, place it on the engine block, ride to the theme park. Pizza is hot and ready when you get off the bus. Amen, brother. That's all yeah. But the pizza would have to be elongated so you can easily fit it between the exhaust manifold and the radiator. You can just pivot it and it gets the most heat.
Oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm sorry. There we go. All right.
Chris,
do you have any final words for our lovely listeners tonight? I'm cutting you off. That's it.
I know. He cuts me off after he tells that joke. I don't know. That's not fair. So if you don't think it's fair, feel free to drop me a support note over at Behind the Ears Podcast at gmail.com. So, yes, you're right, Aaron. It will taste the same as resort pizza. No, I think that's about it. And, hey, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. Please feel free to, drop over by our Facebook page, catch us over on Twitter, Instagram, and also our YouTube channel as well. By all means, go over in iTunes. Even if you don't listen to our podcast through iTunes, head on over there, like and review. Do the world a good thing by giving us a 5-star rating. But by all means, if you have any questions, comments, or you'd like to, go ahead and have something put on the show, hey, drop us a line. I already dropped it at that email address. I'll give it to you again. BehindTheEarsPodcast at gmail.com. Danny, back to you.
Yeah, I will just reiterate everything he just said, just to be that annoying little gnat at the barbecue. Rate and review the show on iTunes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch all our live and archive shows. Always email us at behindtheearspodcast at gmail.com. Hop on over to our Facebook page. Check us out over there. You can always like that page to get live updates when we go live. Also, you can check us out at our website at behindtheearspodcast.net. That will link you right to our WordPress site where you can catch all the shows, read all our blogs and articles. And that's going to do it. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. Just remember, this is the original Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny, and I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks a lot for joining us. You have a magical day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.